What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the KREF High School Huddle here on the KREFSports.tv YouTube page. That's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton, and we are 19 days away until the start of the new high school sports season. Remember to follow us on all of our social medias. We've already started posting somewhat of a countdown to those first couple of games that are going to happen on August 11th. So make sure that you stay tapped in with us on social media for that. Hey, coming up today, Connor had this great idea, and I thought it was excellent because Piedmont is now in 6A District 2 for football in its second year. After being in 5A for all those years, Piedmont, one of those great growing communities up there just outside of the Oklahoma City metro area. So we're going to talk about Piedmont because there's a lot of uniqueness around this Wildcat team. Plus, at the end of the show, we will talk about one basketball player that is getting a lot of publicity and a lot of becoming a target for quite a few schools over the summer. So stick around for that. Okay, Connor, 7-4 season last year for Piedmont, or 7-5, pardon me. 7-5 year, get to the semifinal, the quarterfinals. Lost to Sand Springs in their first year in 6A2. As you turn the page from 2024 to 2025, what stands out for this Piedmont team as in terms of what we could see coming up this fall?
Well, first off, I thought it was a great opening season for Piedmont when they got thrown in the fire 6A2. They did a solid job having a winning record, being able to get to the quarterfinals, losing to Sand Springs, but they won that first round game against Ponca City, blowing them out 48-7 last year. And now you turn the page now for Piedmont, and they bring back quite a bit from last year. I mean, 9 starters on the offensive side of the ball, 6 on defense. That helps, especially on the offensive side, because we'll talk about it, but they run that flex bone look offensively, and it is important to have guys that are built in that system that have done it for multiple years, and that's what Piedmont has with all the starters coming back. They do have to replace the quarterback. We'll talk about that here in a little bit of who we expect that to be for Piedmont, but still some key returners running the football, wide receivers that block extremely well on the outside. You need that to be able to run the football. But I'm looking forward to seeing how this Piedmont team responds after the 7-5 season.
Well, I'll tell you, one guy that they really are going to be challenged to replace is Jaden Footson, the running back. He was an All-State honorable mention last year, and you talk about running an offense like that, it's predicated on the run game, and it's going to be predicated on what kind of explosiveness your running back is going to have. And he certainly had a lot of that. Now, some of the guys that could take over for him, Carter Heinrihar certainly is at the top of that list. But Jaden Footson, even before we get to the quarterback, is one of the guys that I'm thinking, okay, they're going to really have to get somebody or a cast of somebodies who can duplicate what he did a season ago.
Yeah, Houston was excellent. I mean, do it all back, very physical. He was a wrestler as well at Piedmont, so he's got that background, All-State honorable mention from last year. But, yeah, he's a guy that, I mean, you got to feel quite a bit with him because he was involved quite a bit in that running game attack for sure.
Yeah, no doubt. So, arguably their best offensive player, they will have to replace. Now, I want to go through the schedule because their schedule is going to be extremely similar this year to how it was a season ago. They had a home-and-home with Midwest City. They won the game at Midwest City last year, so they'll open up at home against the Bombers to kick off 2025. Then there's the Choctaw factor of all this. So if you go into district play, you see a 56-40 loss to Choctaw. You also see a 29-28 loss to Southmore in district play in 6A2. Couple of those games, like maybe you think, hey, maybe we just play better defense. We beat Choctaw, and one or more things go your way. You beat Southmore. So they were right there in terms of standing on the doorstep of a 9-win season. And it's those kind of things that you want to turn around going into a new year.
No, for sure, and you bring up Choctaw. I mean, that's not easy way to start for a district, a Choctaw team that feels like consistent every single year, but it does get a little bit easier for Piedmont after that when you look at matchups against Northwest Classen, U.S. Grant, Lawton, Eisenhower, and then that trip to Southmore. But that'll be a big test early on in district play for Piedmont, especially going on the road to take on a Choctaw team that they lost to last year in a shootout, man, 56-40. So we'll see how it goes this time around.
Both district losses from last year were at home. So, like you just mentioned, they've got to go on the road to play Choctaw, go on the road to play Southmore. So keep an eye on that in terms of how that starts to affect the season. Anything else stand out to you? It was what stands out to you the most? Is it the coaching consistency as Jeff Hall comes back for year number 7? Is it just they're now more acclimated to 6A2? As you look at the 2025 season as a whole, how do you sum up how they come into the year?
Well, Jeff Hall, I mean, you're right about consistency, and that's what you get with him every single time. He's going to have a team that's obviously tough up front when they run that offense. And when I look at guys that returned from a year ago, Carter Heinrihar, we see him in on the basketball floor. He's a great athlete, 6 foot, 2026 kid. And that is going to be someone that running back that's going to be involved a lot more when we talk about the replacement of Houston. You need guys to step up back there and be able to run the football, run hard. And Carter Heinrihar can be one of those guys. Quarterback, that's the mystery now for Piedmont. No longer have May behind center, and they're expecting Jordan Holman, a 2026 guy, to be their signal caller. And he's a guy that early on in his high school career, he's been able to learn the offense, and now it's just going to get live action for him, varsity play, and we'll see how that goes for him.
Now, he is going to be thrust into a situation that actually ends up kind of favorable for him because there are 9 returning starters on offense for Piedmont. Now, it's not the same on defense. Piedmont only returned 6 starters from last year on defense. But offensively, when you talk about ingratiating a new quarterback, which I believe he's a 2027 kid, Jordan Holman, you want as much continuity around the new quarterback. And, and returning 9 of 11 is a pretty good situation for him to be set up with as he goes into presumably being the starter this year.
Yeah, it makes life easier for a young quarterback when you can put him into a situation like that when he's got bodies up front on the offensive line that returned from a year ago. And outside of Houston, I mean, there's still running backs that know the offense. They know what to do when they're on the field. You mix that in with wide receivers too. So it's a comfortable spot for Jordan Holman for sure, being a young quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt. 7-5 last year in their first year in 6A2. They also won 7 games in their final year in 5A. If you had to pick, and I'm going to go a little bit off script here. If you had to project another team that's going to come up to 6A2 in recent time, being with your knowledge of the OKC metro area, you obviously live up in that area, What would be another school that we could see on the horizon
to make the jump from 5A?
To make a jump from 5A to 6A2?
Well, I mean, I don't know how it's going to go, but if they're going to just stay in 5A, but Carl Albert's a team. We know them quite a bit at 5A. They've had some pretty dang good teams as of late. I just don't know what that enrollment looks like for them. But, yeah, they're a team. They've been dominating at the 5A level, and when you dominate for a long time, then you're going to eventually possibly make a jump to the 6A level.
One of the teams I think about when we have this conversation is Deer Creek, because Deer Creek made a jump from 5A to 6A2, and then obviously last year made the jump from 6A2 to 6A1. And every time they've made those jumps, they fared pretty well. We remember Deer Creek's season last year was wrecked by injury and a ton of it. But the Antlers found their footing pretty fast in 6A2, and now Piedmont, after a 7-win year, their first go-round at the 6A level, looks to really establish itself as a 6A2 competitor with the Stillwaters of the world and Muskogees and others.
No, they both those teams, they've had good, solid transitions, and a reason why is because the talent that they had returning when they did make that jump from 5A to 6A, especially Deer Creek with Grady Adamson, your quarterback, and that's why they were able to, put together a successful season in year 1 in 6A. But it's all about talent when you make that jump. You need guys that returned from a year ago to help you out when you face that tougher competition, and Deer Creek and Piedmont had that.
Yeah, no doubt. And I think Deer Creek could possibly have a pretty good season in its year 2 in 6A District 1. So Piedmont, in terms of the numbers, scoring offense from last year, just over 32 points per game. That'll play. They also held their opponents to 24.3 points per game. So if the offense continues to score like it did, which the way that offense runs, it's hard to believe that there's enough possessions for them to score that many points, but certainly has been efficient as well. Hey, I want to get to this. Beau Billingsley at Norman picking up quite a few offers. We posted this on our social medias earlier today. So again, another reason you should stay tapped in at KREF Sports TV on Twitter, especially. But Billingsley, a dude that I think played more under control as the season went on last season as the Norman point guard, and senior year for him, I think is going to be very, very interesting for him as he's starting to pick up attention on the college ranks. Yeah,
and last year, man, he was really composed, and he's a guy that, man, he can create his shot anywhere on the floor. I mean, he's a go-getter. He can get to the rim. The mid-range game is nice for him too with Beau Billingsley. But yeah, picking up offers. We put on our social media pages today, but Texas State, American, I know, ORU, and going blank on the other one. But the D1 offers are coming along for Beau Billingsley, and there's no surprise because he's been playing good at the 6A level for the Norman Tigers, and yeah, he's expected to have a pretty good senior year.
Florida Gulf Coast has been in there as well, along with Oral Roberts.
Oral Roberts, yep,
has been in there. So no, Billingsley's stock certainly rising in terms of the recruiting. It'll be interesting to see where he ends up, because for a guy like him, system is going to matter. Mm-hmm. But he has shown he can run a system, and that's what was most impressive to me about the way he quarterbacked that Norman High team last year, is that they had a lot of athletes, they had a lot of defenders. They could obviously hurt you in the open court because of their defense and athleticism, but when things slow down and settle into the half court, you got to have that point guard that can orchestrate your offense. And Beau Billingsley, I thought, did that very well, along with being the scorer that he can be as well.
Well, he stepped into a leadership role, because if you remember the year before, they had Trayshawn Combs-Pierce running things, and Beau Billingsley, you could say, was that second option for them. And now this is Billingsley's team, and he showed it last year, coming up with huge shots down the stretch and in district play. So yeah, Billingsley really fit in well this past year for the Tigers offensively, and he's very good defensively too. I mean, he doesn't take many plays off on the defensive side of the floor, so Billingsley can play.
That's a message that Corey Cole preaches. Nobody takes.
Dude, I know.
Nobody
takes. They take pride, off. Man. They take pride on defense,
and they can jump on you pretty fast. Yeah. They did so in quite a few games as well. What leaves for Norman High?
I think because there really isn't a whole bunch. I have to look back. But
there you go.
They were loaded with sophomores, juniors. Montrell Combs-Pierce, the younger brother, he'll be back from a year ago. Isaiah Amos, I believe, was a junior. We have to go back and look. We got a little bit until basketball season comes around.
No doubt. No, that's really cool. So yeah, congrats to Beau, and excited about his senior season, and also excited about the Piedmont football season as well. We'll continue to go through some of these interesting teams leading up to kickoff of the 2025 season, but that'll do it for this edition of the KREF High School Huddle. That's Connor Pasby. I'm Grayson Singleton. Remember, tap in with us on all of our social medias. We're on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook, and subscribe to this YouTube channel as well. Take it easy, everybody. Have a good weekend. We'll talk to you next week.